Good morning and welcome to the Burnsville Chamber Business Briefing. Today is August 1st, and we're looking forward to our local updates as well as our featured presentation. We're going to start with Dan Keeley from the City of Burnsville for a city update. Dan?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm really happy to have some members of the city staff here that's going to present a wonderful new program. And I have several things. Our city is extraordinarily busy, probably busier than any of the last 19 years that I've spent on council. So these updates tend to be about 12, 13, 14 items. So I'm going to go as fast as I can. First and foremost, I'm not sure when our next meeting is, so I have to give a shameless plug to the Burnsville Festival and Fire Muster on September 4th to the 6th. Just some changes I want to highlight to this group due to past events here in Burnsville and the surrounding area related to youth violence, gun violence, etc. We've added security measures. So you'll be seeing things that you see at pro sports and the state fair. Metal detectors, we're fencing the whole place in. So everyone coming in will see something a little bit different at the front gate, but they'll know that they're in a very secure, safe place to enjoy themselves and not worry. We will have metal detectors, bag inspections, I noted. Plus, we're also adding a new policy, unsupervised youth after either 7 or 8 p.m. That's to be determined. It's currently 7, but I'm pushing to have it at 8. And the carnival rides and concessions will close at 8 p.m. The festival will look a little different after 8 o'clock, with the youth half carnival and skateboard and the stage, basically, and the inflatables being done at by 8 o'clock, and the eastern half still be going with food trucks and festival carnival food and the stage and etc. So on a more positive note, I'm very happy to announce that we have a 500 drone aerial show for you on Saturday night, just before our fireworks. And we also have a 23-foot by 13-foot high-def video screen next to the stage for the first time ever. So viewing from the whole amphitheater up the hillside will be really good. And to close out the festival comments, our 2025 official festival button contest winner is Daisy Cabrera, a Burnsville High School student, and we'll recognize her and our two runner-ups at the August 19th City Council meeting. So very excited to have that partnership and get kids involved in our button design, and hopefully some additional things as we work with the school district over the years to collaborate on all kinds of things. Our next city council meeting is moved to Monday because coming up this Tuesday, I'm sure you all have a neighborhood party that you're helping arrange. Maybe you're the block captain and you're going to be the driver of it, the Night to Unite events. So the presentation you're about to see from our economic development, community development folks is going to be on our agenda Monday night, our 8-4 agenda. So look forward to seeing everybody out in the community for the Night to Unite parties. We usually have well over 100. We're a very popular city for these types of parties, and can't wait to engage with the city parties. We usually get assigned 4 or 5, and we try and jump to a sixth one if we can. Depends on if the mosquitoes are coming out in big numbers as we get later in the evening. Another item, a neighborhood related or organization grant program. Really, really proud of the work. This all started as a budget participation type of project, and it evolved into something that I think is just absolutely fantastic. And the rest of the council is as well. We're all very happy that it turned into this neighborhood grant program. And the city has been holding these pop-up events around the city, neighborhoods who organize, come together, form basically some structure. They're able to apply for a grant of up to $10,000. Just some real highlights. It's a minimum of 200 households or approximately 500 residents, usually defined by walking distance of up to a square mile. But it can also include multifamily residences and even some local businesses within that zone, call it, or neighborhood. But half dozen or more neighborhoods have come together, organized, or moving through the process. So really excited how that is developing, and I think it'll grow year over year as more people hear about it and learn how to get organized. Talking about neighborhoods, the LAHA funds, local area housing assistance funds, which is coming from a quarter cent metro sales tax passed by the 2023 legislature. Burnsville will receive 1.14 million each year. And we have the city council and our EDA authority has already voted to allocate 400,000 of that to bolster our existing senior deferred home repair rehab loan program and a housing home rehab program for qualified residents, low-income residents. We'll determine the spending for the remaining 700,000. We have some great ideas from our economic development staff, some of them, both of them present here, like a down payment assistance program, distressed property type of situation. We only have about six, I believe, in our city, but they're owned. Someone's paying the property taxes, but no one's living there, so it's becoming very, you know, run down. And the neighborhood, if you were a homeowner on the street with one of those homes, you would probably be looking for the city or somebody to step in and help clean the place up and maintain it. It's just rare circumstances. And then also an emergency vouchers program for temporary housing for low-income families when a fire displaces them or property maintenance violations displaces them before the county programs can really, kind of take over. There's that immediate, hey, what are we going to do tonight and tomorrow night? And this is a program that I'm in favor of because I know that our community ed division of our ISD 191 actually does raise a little slush fund to help families when this happens. And so I think the city taking some of these funds to step in and provide something like that is a great idea. It's kind of a crisis circuit breaker type of thing. Some news about the former Macy's site. It sold for $4 million on July 2nd. The investors also own a strip center in West St. Paul. The future site use is unknown, but maybe I thought Jeff LaFavor might hear some buzz in the community in the commercial sector. But I've been talking to a couple former and current tenants of the mall, and they're hearing buzz about some Asian stores coming in, and so it's a store within a store concept within the Macy's. That'll be an interesting concept. Think of it like a food hall, right? You have a big area and you got one different type of food vendors all sort of uh, in the same area. Maybe it's going to be something like that, but that is just rumors, so don't take that to the bank. We just want to make sure that whoever purchases it follows our city's permit policy. We've had too many examples of new buildings being purchased by folks and they start working on it and they don't come to the city for a permit to do electrical, plumbing, or occupy it. So a lot of education for some of our new residents. New housing project on Old County Road 34. There's a couple of homes over there that have had a lot of vehicles in their yards per se. It's kind of like a home-based auto repair or body type of shop. They're looking to sell, and there's a developer looking to put in a housing project there, apartment project, and they have come to the city for some assistance and financing. So we expect them to ask for certain tools. That'll be up to the city council to decide if we're going to do that or not. Pillsbury Ridge, everyone's probably driven by that next to the Diamond Head project. It's all fully rented, and the residents began moving in yesterday, as a matter of fact, after we gave them their temporary certificate of occupancy. So, brand new apartment there next to the ISD 191 Diamond Head building, filled up very quickly. Another exciting news, Burnsville Toyota put in a permit. They're going to build a whole new dealership and put in a new car wash. We've seen a lot of activity by these car dealerships on Buck Hill Road. You've seen probably over the last 10 years tear down and a rebuild of brand new auto dealership. I guess it's a good business to be in when you're in the car business. Those are some big, big capital projects. At our July council work session, we reviewed our 2026 to 2030 capital improvements plan. Just a highlight of that is in 2029, it includes a brand new fire station number two at $38 million. Big project. We have a very unsafe Fire Station 2. We've replaced Fire Station 1 with a very modern, safe, and healthy, focused design of a building. We need to do that for Fire Station number 2 to take care of our firefighters. On the opioid front, there's another big pharma that has settled nationally, and we have participated in those settlements through a statewide agreement. And so we'll go through that process. August 19th, we'll take formal action to receive those funds. That'll give us additional funding that funds our community risk reduction program. This was a new concept, a really novel model that no other city was doing that our fire department came up with. And it is to try and get into early intervention for people who are at risk or have issues with drug addiction. So we're trying to actually get in front of the problem rather than just put money into sort of what happens after the fact. So I think this was a great idea. We are in full support of it, and this additional fund just allows us to put the required staff in place to do it and do a better job at it. Pickleball, hey, everybody loves pickleball except in their backyard. They don't like it in their backyard. We have had pop-up engagements around the city. They're wrapping up this Saturday at Hollows Park, the last one from 11 to 2. We've had them at Cliff Van Rose Park and Alamagnet. The decision is coming at a future city council meeting, but the Rose Park is a Collins property, and they've given us a $1 lease to use it for as a park. There's a lot of soccer fields there. We would like to put or consider put a putting a pickleball project in there, but we need to know that Collins isn't going to use that land for at least another, let's say, 10 or 15 or more years to do that. So we're meeting with them to sort of clarify what is their long-term plans. We hear on and off and have for the last 20 years, they're going to do something, they're going to do something, but nothing's ever happened. So I think because Collins is part of a national multi-billion dollar corporation, getting an answer might be a little tough. Traffic congestion. Hey, we all love sitting in traffic, right? Trying to get around Burnsville. Yikes, it's been rough. We're all feeling the pain. July 21st, we had a partial closure of through traffic to Williams Drive, which is sort of in the vicinity of where there's a lot of traffic backup. So that didn't make it any better. But I will tell you on the brighter side, this October, barring weather, the new Burnsville Parkway, Elm Strand, Rugi, Finseth Memorial Bridge will reopen. And boy, will that provide incredible relief to east-west travel because of the other two bridges still being under construction for another couple of years. So looking forward to October. And then to wrap up, City Hall construction, our biggest project in the history of the city, a $96 million project. Work continues, utilities, major excavation, foundational work going on. It's really a historic event. It's not going to happen for another 40 plus years. And I encourage you to swing by City Hall and take some pictures. If you could hold your camera up over the fence and snap pictures or do little videos, it is really fun to watch these types of large projects happen. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate those updates. And Scott Hume from the school district.
Hi, yes, I've got a few. Didn't think I had many updates, and I started to write them down, and I had more than I thought I did. So I will get going. So of course, I don't want to bury the lead. So the first update is that our new superintendent, Dr. Latanya Daniels, began work on July 1st. As you can imagine, she spent a lot of time in the month of July meeting with district staff, board members, community members, is really spending a lot of time learning about the district's strengths, our challenges, and really starting, kind of getting a handle on how things are going. So she's been doing a great job so far. We are excited and related, as you can imagine. Now that it's August 1st, I suppose, prep for the upcoming school year is very much in full swing. I'll say one thing I've learned in the 6+ years I've been on the board is that there really isn't much downtime during the summer. I think a lot of people assume that's the case, but there's so much to do to plan and prepare for the next school year that, at least for the staff that work during the summer, obviously it's different for teachers, but for the staff who are the administrative staff who are working during the summer, it's a very, very busy time for them as they are working to prepare for the next school year. Looking back a little bit to the previous school year, I do just want to say we are grateful to the Burnsville Police Department for their support and quick action when I think we all heard about, or in my case, was physically there when it happened, the gunfire after the high school graduation back in June. And we're all very thankful that no one was physically injured. Thanks in part, in no small part, to the quick action by the Burnsville Police Department. So I saw it, and I can tell you they were right on top of the people with the guns when it happened. So Also, we did approve our fiscal year 26 budget back at the end of June. So we do have our budget approved for this year. There's a little bit of uncertainty at the time, some of which has been resolved in the last week or so. There was, I think, about $1 billion nationally, over $1 billion had been frozen at the federal level, and that money, what you may have seen on the news, was released last week. There was $600,000 of that $1 billion+ was for 191 for things like professional development, student support services, academic enrichment, migrant education efforts, things like that. So we are appreciative that the money that Congress had previously approved, we now have. Next, I'll just mention that we've begun our negotiations with the Burnsville Education Association, our teachers union. Those negotiations began in July. We had 2 meetings last month. We have 5 meetings already scheduled for August. So we are moving forward with that. The contract expired on June 30th, if you were curious. All of the bargaining unit contracts are on the same calendar, and they expired on June 30th. So that's a process we go through every 2 years. And then finally, several of our board members, including myself and our new superintendent, Dr. Daniels, will all be participating in Night to Unite next week on Tuesday, August the 5th. And I had several updates, but they were pretty quick. So that's all I have for now.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. I'll give a couple of quick chamber updates here, and I'm going to share my screen just to have something to talk about. So upcoming at the chamber, we're back in to activities as of this morning. So in July, we don't have any programs in the chamber. And kicking off this morning with our business briefing. Next week, we have our business after hours that at Buck 54. So hope you'll join us for that from 4:30 to 6 p.m. on Thursday, August 7th. The following week, or 2 weeks after that, we have our August out to lunch at Jersey Mike's. And then our AM coffee break in August is our State of the Schools. So we will be at Diamond Head meeting our new superintendent and getting more updates on the schools and learning about our business education network. This actually ties with our teacher externship. So our teacher externship will be on the 19th and 20th, where we have a group of teachers that go out to some of our businesses, host them, and then they are invited to join us for the State of the Schools and then a wrap up. So hopefully you'll get to meet some of them. And then September, back to our business briefing, our AM coffee break at new member Architectney, and our out to lunch at Original Pancake House. Another thing I'll note in September is that we do partner with the Festival and Fire Muster. So the chamber is hosting the information booth. So if anybody's interested in volunteering for that, let me know. And then also in September, you see the big orange thing on the side here is our fall fling. Please, it's open, ready to register now. And you can, on September 25th, this is our Minnesota Horse and Hunt Clay Shooting Challenge. It's a really fun event to sponsor or to come out and shoot. And then October, we have a full month with another business after hours at Element Indoor Golf, our Burnsville Business Briefing, Manufacturing Month, which will be at Chamber Member Apothecary Products, and our out to lunch at JL Beers. I'd also encourage you to mark your calendar for our Mingle and Jingle on Thursday, December 11th, so you don't miss that. Those are the chamber updates for right now. There was one other thing I wanted to share, but I want to stop sharing my screen. Let me find the button here. There we go. So, yes, we've got a lot going on this fall, and we love your input and your participation. And please always reach out if there's anything that you want to know more about. That's what we're here for. And with that, we're a little ahead of schedule. This is great. We'll give them a little extra time. I'm pleased to introduce my partners. Another thing I'll share about this. So Travis Bistodeau is here today, and Beth Weber from the City of Burnsville. And I think I saw Jeff Thompson sneak in, our whole economic development and community development crew. and they're going to share about the economic development framework. But there is something that we work on together, which is our business visits, our Grow Minnesota business visits. If you're located in Burnsville and we haven't been out to see you, please let me know because we love to get to know our businesses better and see how we can support you. So with that, Travis, I'm going to let you take the reins and share your screen and take us away.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Well, we practiced this before. We'll see if it works. Can you see my screen?
Yes, there it is.
Perfect. Well, good morning, everybody. Before we launch into the presentation, we should introduce ourselves a little bit more. As Jennifer said, I'm Travis Bistodeau. I'm the Deputy Community Development Director here in the City of Burnsville. And in my role, I oversee our planning division, our neighborhood services division, and there think rental inspections and rental licensing, as well as neighborhood property maintenance, inspections and enforcement. And then I also oversee our economic development team, a small but mighty team of myself and Beth, with Jeff overseeing that work. I've worked for the City of Burnsville for a whopping 9 months now, so I still feel pretty new, but I'm getting used to the city and learning more about a lot of the assets that we have to offer. But I've worked in community development for pretty much my entire career, for about 25 years or so. Prior to Burnsville, I worked for the city of St. Paul, doing similar work, and people have asked me since I made the jump over to Burnsville, why did you come to Burnsville? And there's a variety of reasons. Part of it is some of the vibrancy and energy that Councilmember Keeley spoke of, but a lot of it is I really wanted to do this type of work in what I see as my neighborhood. My wife and son and I have lived in Bloomington for the past 20 years, and I really wanted to do this work where in the place that kind of we call home. So that's just a little bit about me. Beth, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, thank you, Travis. My name is Beth Weber. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Burnsville, and I've been fortunate to be here coming up on 6.5 years. We are a small but mighty team, but I think we're doing some really great work, and I'm excited to share what we've been working on and kind of where we're going. And to just restate Jennifer's point, we do love coming out and visiting our Burnsville businesses. So if you haven't done that yet, or if you want the opportunity to do so, reach out to one of us and we'll stop by for a chat.
Thank you, Beth. So we're going to tag team on this presentation a little bit, so we'll go back and forth. But Jennifer asked us here a couple months ago to talk about a new initiative that we've been working on, or a new kind of guiding document, which is our Economic Development Strategic Framework, which is what we'll kind of work through. So what is an Economic Development Strategic Framework or an Economic Development Plan? These are tools that municipalities develop that really set the tone and serve as a guiding document for economic development for the next 3 to 5 year period. They're not focused on incredibly long time periods, but really about what can we tangibly have an impact on over that next 3 to 5 years. But typically they have 4 kind of focus areas, and those areas are on the screen here. We're focused on attracting new business investment, bringing new business into our city, enhancing our competitiveness, so making Burnsville the most desirable place for a new business to come into town and invest in our community. And even though we work closely with our neighbors, there's a friendly competition that we want to bring that business into Burnsville, perhaps over our friends in Savage. We also want to support the existing local businesses, and then we also work to support our workforce, so that engine that supports especially our small businesses within our community. We want to support that workforce as much as we can. So those are kind of the overarching goals that strategic plans or economic development plans typically focus upon. So from there, I will turn it over to Beth to talk a little bit more about how we got here, especially since I wasn't an employee at the time. Beth,
Thanks, Travis.
Yeah.
So when we think about the initial strategy, excuse me, we selected Stantec to support not only the economic development strategic framework, but also the housing and commercial needs assessment that we completed. We felt that by hiring them to do both aspects of this project, it provided us with good synergy for getting good data. We knew that our housing and commercial needs would help us inform the work that we would complete for the strategic framework. And it also allowed us some cost savings, which we were able to reallocate into a more robust community engagement kind of outreach plan, which included virtual meetings with stakeholders, several open houses, online surveys, and then I attended some park events to engage with the community that way. And then we had a chamber discussion as well. So you'll see here some photos of our open house engagement. Oh, shoot. We had a Center Village discussion board around what the community would like to see when it redevelops. You'll see we had a bucket activity with what we coined Burnsville Bucks, where participants could vote for priorities related to community vibrancy. And then we had a table map exercise, more so just for general input, much of which was related to local business promotion and people's favorite places. So through this process, certainly we engaged with City Council a lot, and they gave us some pretty clear direction. They wanted the new framework to be based on good data, community input, and peer city initiatives. So when we were doing that, we looked at neighboring cities as well as cities that look similar to Burnsville across the country. And as we did that, we were able to narrow the focus, kind of make more specific goals where our previous plan was more broad. We wanted this to really look like Burnsville. And then to finalize the framework over the next several months with those draft strategies and engage with the community. In the fall, we did another full round of stakeholder engagement interviews. We had an open house. So the engagement was really robust. And when we think about our approach this time around, like Travis said, we are a small but mighty team. So we wanted this strategy to be right-sized for us, to go above and beyond the day-to-day economic development work. So not just focusing on folks who come into the lobby, or just focusing on business visits, or just focusing on ribbon cuttings. We wanted it to be wide-ranging in how we support our economy with specific and pragmatic, actionable tasks. Burnsville has some unique strengths that Travis will talk about in later slides, and we feel that we have formulated the objectives and action steps based on the data, community input, and the peer city initiatives that we found to be most valuable.
So and I should pause for a second. I've looked at a number of economic development plans and strategic frameworks, as part of this process and just in prior work. And while I feel like innovative is probably a little bit too strong of word, some of the bullet points that Beth just hit on kind of resonate with me with regards to what we landed on. What we've got is something that's very actionable and basically provides us a laundry list of basic steps that we can take over the next 3 to 5 years to hopefully move the needle in terms of economic growth within Burnsville. A lot of the objectives and the strategies that I'm going to walk through here quickly are pretty specific, and you'll notice they're not kind of pie in the sky, broad objectives. They're pretty targeted and focused, and from a practitioner perspective, it's exciting to see this, and I really appreciate the council's support that, once we approve this plan, we can start checking the boxes and knocking some of these things out and hopefully move that needle in terms of economic growth within our city. But the first objective is to enhance our existing strengths and ignite new business growth. So that's objective one, and I'll walk through some of the strategies behind that. The second one is to target redevelopment and development opportunities within our city, of which there are quite a few and probably more coming. And the third is to strengthen our partnerships with organizations like you and others, and perhaps organizations that have yet to be developed and maybe we'll have a hand in. So I'll walk through each one of these, just 3 objectives. That's all we landed on. I think the previous plan had 5 or 6. So this is much more tightly focused than what we've done in the past. So that first objective is enhancing our strengths and igniting new business growth. We have, I believe it's 5 strategies within there. The first 2 are around land use preservation. So one of the things that I was pleasantly surprised about when I came to Burnsville, even though I've lived right across the river for 20 years, I didn't realize what a robust industrial base that we have. And we don't have high ceiling new industrial spaces, but what we do have are smaller, more affordable, still well maintained, largely or almost nearly fully leased out industrial spaces that provide a great place for a new manufacturer to set up shop and build their business, or expand and become kind of a mid-sized industrial or warehousing type of operation. So that's a unique strength that not a lot of our adjacent communities have across the metropolitan area. So through this exercise, we recognize that this is unique. This is somewhere where we're strong. And one of our strategies here is to preserve and really document what space that we have. So through this strategy, what we might want to do is create an overlay district, which would help us describe what's there and understand better what type of businesses are there. And then we can use that as a marketing tool to recruit new business in. Another idea that is part of the overlay concept is perhaps we want to put some tools in place to preserve those uses. So oftentimes, and this is not unique to Burnsville, non-traditional uses like a church or a school might want to come in and convert one of these warehouses or manufacturing spaces for, worship space. And perhaps we want to put a check in place to make sure that's something that we really want to do before we give up something that makes Burnsville so unique and strong. So that first strategy is about preserving the industrial space that we have. The second is very similar, but it's focused on medical land use. As you all know, probably better than I do, we have the hospital here in Burnsville, and we have a ring of ancillary businesses that have grown up over time. And perhaps what we want to do is create an overlay district there. Same thing, figure out what's there, use it as a marketing tool, and consider putting some preservation process in place to slow any sort of conversion of those spaces down, or really be thoughtful about those conversions before we move forward with changing that medical land use space. And then the third strategy in here, and like I said, I think there's 5 in this bigger bucket, and I'll get to those, is to support workforce housing. Like I mentioned, we have this strong industrial base, a lot of jobs, a lot of economic growth, and a lot of income is built out in that industrial space. But if you look at the wages of the individuals that work in those positions, especially if they're newer in their career, the reality is they can't afford to rent or own a home in Burnsville. So perhaps what we want to do is start thinking a little bit more seriously about workforce housing and what we can do to support renters and homeowners that want to invest and put down roots in Burnsville, being close to where they work. So the last 2 strategies in this bucket of work is to better monitor and market our existing and commercial industrial spaces. So we know we have an industrial engine in Burnsville. We know we have a strong commercial corridor, especially on 42, but we don't really know who's in there. We don't know when leases are coming up, and we want to be a little bit more proactive than we have in the past and understand how the market is changing, and then assist those property owners to ensure those spaces get leased and filled as quickly as possible. So we have some ideas on how we might want to do that as well. And then the last bit of work is to develop and market new programs and potentially new funding supports for new small business that decides to come into Burnsville and wants to open up shop within our community. So that last one is focused on that new business, that new smaller business that wants to come into Burnsville. So we have some ideas on how we could support those folks, but may include, an ask of our electeds at some point to provide some funding to support those new small businesses in the not too distant future. So that's the first objective. The second is to focus on those development and redevelopment opportunities. The first strategy there is we've already had some initial conversations with Dakota County, and what we'd like to do is do a broader investigation on our contaminated soils within the city of Burnsville. We know where some of them are, but we don't have a broad understanding of everything that's out there, and then build a strategy on how we might want to develop those properties and get them ready for that potential future redevelopment and new business coming into Burnsville. The second strategy here is to build additional city support. That may mean new programming, new funding resources to support the existing commercial and industrial and medical districts. So a tool that lots of communities use, especially with industrial bases, is like a facade improvement loan program. So things like that are ideas we might want to explore under that particular strategy. And then the third one here is focused on kind of some low-hanging fruit. The city owns a number of underutilized properties across the city, many of which are small splinter parcels. Many are, parks properties and lands where we have city services currently located. We're not talking about those, but we have other city-owned parcels that are currently vacant or are underutilized. And this bullet really is an idea where we would go through that list of properties and come up with a strategy and figure out when we might want to market some of those properties and get them off our books and turn them into productive properties from an economic development perspective across the city. So that's a shorter term, a near term project that we're likely to take on in the next few months, assuming this plan moves forward with the council. So a couple more strategies within this second bucket. I mentioned the city-owned property. We also want to work on a strategy for privately owned property as well. As many of you are aware, I'm sure we have a number of underutilized privately owned properties as well that are not on the market and are dormant and frankly consuming city services when we have to go out there and cut the grass, or if somebody breaks in and vandalizes a property. We'd like to have a better understanding of why those properties are sitting there and work to help that property owner, if they so choose, not forcing anybody to do anything, but if they so choose, bring it back on the market and perhaps make it available for development. And then the last strategy on here is to look internally at, not the last strategy, second strategy here is to look internally at our development review process. This is more internally focused. There is a process by which we follow when a big development comes into Burnsville, and our engineers are looking at it, the forestry team is looking at it, our planners are looking at it, and I want to make sure that that process is as streamlined as possible. And I'm sure there are some efficiencies we can take advantage of, and I really want to make the development process in Burnsville be as painless as possible, be as transparent to developers so they know what they're getting into when they are thinking about investing in Burnsville. And again, speaking to that friendly competitive edge with our neighboring cities, I would love for folks to think developing in Burnsville is easier perhaps than some of our neighbors, and maybe we can snag a couple of those extra businesses because of that process improvement. And then the last strategy in this bucket of work is really a continuation of the good work that Beth is already doing to support developers that have environmental remediation action needed on their existing sites. So think of the Capstone project as an example. That has been a transformative project for that particular development, and we want to continue to do that type of work for those sites that we already know are contaminated. And then the last bucket of work is the last objective is really focused on strengthening our partnerships. We really want to enhance those partnerships that we already participate with local and regional entities. And we're not just talking about, sorry, Joya, not just MVTA or Met Council, but really reaching out with other entities as well that might be private. For example, I'd like to establish a stronger relationship with Buck Hill, but learning more about what some of these private businesses and entities are challenged with in our community, and how we might be able to step in and fill that gap and support economic growth within our community. And then the last one is, even though we're friendly with our neighbors, improve coordination with our neighboring cities. So getting a better understanding of what other neighboring cities are working on, and how we might collaborate better to draw in business from a regional perspective, and focus on what makes us strong, while at the same time supporting Savage and what makes them strong. So those are the three objectives. Those are the strategies within the strategic framework, which will go before council next week. There are a bunch of action steps as well, and I don't have time to go into all of those, but once it's approved by council, we'll certainly post it on our webpage, and you all can take a closer look. So like I mentioned, in terms of next steps, council will review and hopefully approve the strategic framework next week. And then we'll move, Beth and I and Jeff will be moving and transitioning into that implementation plan. And I've listed a couple of the action steps here that are likely to happen sooner rather than later. We'll focus on that city-owned real estate action step, and identify some of the parcels that perhaps we want to bring online and market. We'll also step in and start monitoring and marketing our existing and commercial industrial spaces. We want to take a look at our internal processes, and then lean into some of those partnerships. So improving some ideas that we have there is improving our relationship with Experience Burnsville. Perhaps we want to set up our own, an idea that Jeff and Beth and I have been kicking around, is setting up our own quarterly city-led meetings to engage with businesses, learn more about what some of your challenges are, and bring forward upcoming changes in preparation, getting businesses prepared for any changes that we see on the city front, and then improving our coordination and communication with our area neighbors. So we did include a little bit of additional information here. That housing and commercial needs assessment, which Beth mentioned and is always sitting on my desk here, is a wealth of information regarding Burnsville. And I'm super grateful to the city staff and the council for moving forward with that document. It's been incredibly helpful for me in terms of trying to think about what sort of focus we should have on the economic development front. And I would encourage you all to take a look at that. It's available on our website. And then the draft strategic framework is available now. If you'd like to take a look at that, you're certainly welcome. You can shoot myself or Beth a quick email. But then the final product will be hopefully approved by council next week, and then available on our website. So that was quick. We're happy to take some questions if you all have some feedback or have some thoughts for us.
That was a great overview. Thank you so much, Beth and Travis. And we will adjourn this part of the meeting and open it up to questions. So anybody who's watching the recording, thank you for joining us today. And we will follow up here in a minute.